Bernie Sanders released a new plan that would bring democracy to the workplace, okay, and corporate accountability. Now, this plan is extremely, extremely important, and it's great. You can break this plan down into 3 sections, okay? The first one is about making sure that corporations pay their taxes. Part 2 is about making sure that workers have a say about what goes on in the workplace and how the company operates, all right? And number 3, part 3 of Bernie's plan is making sure that monopolies are broken up, okay, that the Federal Trade Commission actually does its job. So let's dive right in. Let's start with part 1 about making sure that corporations pay their fair share in taxes. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard Bernie talk about this before. You have huge, enormous companies like Amazon, like Netflix, who make billions every year, and they pay no federal income tax. Zero. Nada. Okay? I mean, this is obscene. They've abused the system. They've rigged the system. Corporations have been lobbying, have been buying up the legislative and the judiciary to bring us to this conclusion, to bring us to a point where they literally pay no income tax. And they've rigged the system in a way that lets them profit and hoard all the money in unbelievable amounts. And on top of it, on top of not paying any federal income tax, what do these corporations do? What do these obscenely rich people in the 1% do? They go and they hide their money offshore in the Cayman Islands and all these tax havens spread across the globe. So Bernie aims to close those tax loopholes and make sure that these multi-billion-dollar companies are paying their fair share in taxes. You know, you're going to have the right wing screaming about this and going, oh my God, it's socialism. No. Paying taxes is a part of any capitalist country. Anyone who tries to justify that Amazon and Netflix shouldn't be paying taxes, is insane. What more do you want me to say? This is nothing to do with socialism. This is just a buzzword, okay? They're just trying to scare you. It's not socialism. A lot of small businesses pay federal income taxes. Why shouldn't Amazon? Why shouldn't Netflix? Okay? Now, part 2 of Bernie's plan is the best part, in my opinion, okay? I think this is really good. And again, I applaud Elizabeth Warren for also having put forth this plan. She didn't come up with this idea, okay? This concept didn't originate from Bernie and Warren, but she had a plan first, but Bernie's goes further. So what is the second part of the plan? It's about making the workplace more democratic. It's about giving back the power to the workers. And how do you do that? How do you do that? One part of Bernie's plan is to make sure that 45% of the board is made up of workers. Okay, so almost half of the board of the company will be people who actually work in the company. This is really, really important because people who sit on the board, they're not really affected by the decisions that they make. Yes, of course, they might have investments, they have interests, they have obligations to the shareholders, but they're not working in the company, okay? They're not working in the manufacturing plant. When you have people who actually work in the company sitting on the board, well, guess what? When they take a vote on what the company should do, on how the company should distribute the wealth, on what the company is going to produce, they're not going to be thinking of the shareholders. They don't care about the shareholders. You know what they care about? They care about the workers. They care about themselves and their colleagues who are doing the work, who are doing the labor for this company. Okay? And these board members will be elected by the workers. Okay? So all the workers in the company are going to have a vote. They send one of their colleagues to the board and they become a board member. All right. And then half the board under Bernie's plan will be made up of workers. And this is great because, as I said, they have the workers' interests at heart. So when Ford says, oh, well, we're going to close down our plant and move to Mexico, they're going to be like, hell no, you're not. We vote no. And they're going to have a say now in these decisions that the company takes. This is paramount. This is crucial. Because now people whose lives are affected by the decisions of this board have a say in the decisions that affect them. This is called democracy, okay? It's about making sure that the decision that affects the majority is taken by the majority. Now, of course, 45% is not 51%, but it's close and it's better than what it is now, okay? The difference between Warren and Bernie here is that Warren only wants this to apply to companies that are making over $1 billion, not making over $1 billion, they have over $1 billion in revenue per year, okay? So any company that has $1 billion in revenue per year, then they have to have 40% of their board made up of workers. Bernie Sanders, he wants 45% of the board to be made up of workers. And this is going to apply to companies who make 100 million or more. So the threshold is much lower. So it encompasses much more companies, many more companies, okay, and much more people. This is obviously better. Why would you, why make it so high? Okay, there are tons of workers in this country. They need to have a say in the workplace. And this whole concept is very good. And like I said, it didn't originate with Warren or Bernie. It's not them who invented it. This actually exists in Germany. It is a law already in Germany since post-World War II that 50% of the board must be elected by the workers and be made up of workers. Okay, so half the board in a German company is made up of workers. I think the threshold is the company must have between 500 and 2,000 employees for this to take effect, something like that. It's not about how much money they make, it's about how many employees they have, from what I understood. But my point is, this is not a new concept. This exists in Germany. Okay, and this is also what they've been pushing for in the UK. All right, so this exists elsewhere. And it's not socialism. They have this. It exists in other capitalist countries. Okay? So, the conservatives are going to be whining about this. Oh my God, you're seizing private property. No. Now, the other thing that's really important here is that Bernie wants to make sure that 20% of the company is owned by the workers. So not only do the workers sit on the board, they actually own a stake. They have a stake in the company. This is also amazing, and it's great. Again, the right wing are going to scream that, oh, you're taking away private property, and it's bad for business. No. So the way this works is that every year, companies have to buy back 2%, give it to the workers. And why is this good? Because, dude, if you are working in, I don't know, let's say a Ford plant, and you actually own stocks in this company, you're going to work harder. You're going to actually care about this business working and making money because you get money on top of your salary. You have a vested interest now, literally, in this company actually succeeding. This is a great motivator, and it makes sure that it's just. Another thing that Bernie Sanders is proposing is to create a bank with $500 million in it. And the purpose of this, if I understood correctly, it reminds me of what I heard the Labour Party in the UK proposing, where, let's say, whatever business you work in says, okay, we're closing down and we're moving to another country, or we're selling off the business. The workers can get together and be like, hold up, you ain't going nowhere because we're buying the business from you. And now you might be asking, well, where are you going to get the money? From the bank that Bernie Sanders created. How about that? So again, this is giving more power to the workers. This is protecting workers. All right? This is essential, man. This is very essential. And like I said, this didn't come from Bernie Sanders. The Labour Party has been proposing this too in the UK. Go check out, again, Dr. Richard Wolff, excellent economist. He talks about this in detail about worker co-ops and this plan by Labour. It's really good, man. This is very good. This is true democracy and protection for workers. And this is paramount. I mean, you look at the wealth and income inequality that's going on in the United States right now and in the world, in the whole world. This is untenable. And I think under Trump, the last 3 years, 90,000 jobs have been outsourced. How do you justify that? How do you justify that, man? Look how many plants Ford and Nissan have closed down and moved to Mexico. They wouldn't have been able to do this, or not as easily, under Bernie's plan. Trump says, oh, I'm for the Rust Belt and I'm for workers. And look what he's done. Look how many jobs have been outsourced. This should have never happened. All right? If you care about workers, you're going to make sure that these companies stay in the U.S. They keep producing and manufacturing in the U.S. and they pay their workers and they treat them right. And this takes care of that. And I was watching Bernie's national policy director. He was on the Hill explaining this plan. And I think Sagar said something that,
how do you create a dynamic economy that is agile and able to actually innovate like this? Because the examples that you've given us, Germany, a lot of these other, these are not countries which are going to have major say in the affairs of the world vis-a-vis China and global market competition, or create massive $100 billion companies. how this seems to me something that could condemn the United States to stagnation more than anything else, because 45% of the workers on these boards are never going to want to make a game-changing decision. And
look, man, I love Sagar, I love Crystal, I love watching The Hill, but this is blatantly false. I mean, what are you saying? Germany is the most powerful economy in Europe. Some people think Germany's too powerful. Half of Germany's economy, half of their GDP is exports. What car do you drive? Man, Germany exports so many cars and high-tech medical equipment. They have tons of billion-dollar industries, okay? They're an actor on the world stage in the world economy. And they've made it work. They're a capitalist country that has made this work. So anyone who's giving you this argument that, oh, this is socialism and it's communism. No. Germany is one of the most successful capitalist countries on the face of the planet, and one of the most powerful, and the most powerful in Europe. So don't tell me this garbage that this doesn't work in a capitalist country. Horse crap. Complete horse crap. Complete horse crap. Don't let anyone ever tell you that. Just point at Germany. Case closed. All right. This is the same kind of argument I hear with, like, oh, but America has a much larger population. We can't do Medicare for all. Dude, what are you talking about? Have you ever even studied geography and economics? What are you saying? You look at per capita. We talk about ratios. Doesn't matter what population you have. So anyway, this is a great thing and great protections for workers. All right. Like I said, this is the most important part of the plan, if you ask me. And the third part is about, reforming the Federal Trade Commission and making sure that it does its job and that we take care of monopolies, okay? Both vertical and horizontal. And this is a big issue, man. It really is a big issue because you have companies that have grown to be just enormous. If you look at horizontal monopolies, you look at Facebook, look what they've done, man. They've gone and bought up Instagram, which is also social media. And then they've turned around and said, oh, WhatsApp is also nice. I think we'll take that too. And look, they've turned into this enormous company. It's too much, man. You need competition. You can't have monopolies like that. They abuse their power. I mean, this has gotten to a point where we're not even talking about money only. In the case of Facebook, I mean, they're blatantly abusing people's privacy. So for that reason alone, you should be concerned about monopolies. Bernie's plan is going to take care of that, and this is such an important point. Of course, Warren also makes great points about this, and we got to give her credit for that too. Like I said, I think she came up with a plan concerning all of these much earlier, but I don't feel like it's fact. Bernie's plan does go way further. Like I said, the threshold for which companies need to have 45% of their board made up of workers is much lower, encompassing more people, more companies, giving more protections to more workers. This is much better. So we need to be concerned. And I think this is one of the best things Bernie's proposed after the anti-corruption plan and, of course, Medicare for all. I mean, that's his signature bill. So this is really good, man. This is really good. This needs to be talked about more in the mainstream media. And, it's wonderful. Like I said, I'm particularly excited by the part concerning workers' rights and letting workers have a say on what goes on in the company, giving them a stake in the shares so that they actually feel incentivized to make sure that this business works because they're getting a piece of the pie now. Isn't that good? Of course that's good. It's great. Workers do all the hard work, and then you have a CEO at the top who's taking all the money and then, giving them starvation wages. It's not fair, man. It's not fair. Bernie, again, people say that Bernie's communist. Bernie's not saying he wants to take away your private business. He's saying that enormous corporations need to be paying their workers a fair share because they can afford it. All right? There's also another thing in the bill, by the way, that Bernie's plan that I forgot, which is actually great. He says that if you do end up outsourcing production, then you should pay your workers compensation. That's brilliant. And the framing is wonderful too, because he's like, companies always say that, oh yeah, we have to outsource because it's better for business and we're going to make more money. So you're going to make more money? Well, that's great. Then you can afford to pay your workers compensation, the ones you just laid off. How about that? See, man, Warren always thinks I got a plan for everything, and people drool over how detailed her plans are. Dude, please read this and then tell me that this ain't detailed and even better. All right. Also, she still hasn't released a healthcare plan. Where the hell's that? Man, did you see that? Okay, I'm not even going to get healthcare, but yeah. Anyway, once again, Bernie, over and over, day in, day out, he proves that he's the one, man. What can I say?